I didn't think the live was going to start. I thought they were going to put me on another screen before they told me to press start. But good morning. If you see the title, this is Yoga for When You're Feeling a Bit Rusty. Um, I've been feeling a bit rusty lately, so I figured I needed to get on here and practice because if you've been keeping up with Yoga with Meesh or just the practices I've been offering here on YouTube, they've been more on the gentler side, chair yoga for seniors, more gentle practices because if you don't want to hear me talk, you can just come back and see when I put the timestamp in the chat. But in November, when I had the blood clots in both my lungs and the partially collapsed right lung, it made it more challenging to do more strenuous yoga practices, down dog, a lot of those things where I had to really breathe deeply were painful in my body and I just didn't have the stamina to do them. So I transitioned my practice to a more gentler practice. But as I'm, healing my body, I'm noticing that I do need to push myself a little more in my own personal yoga practice because I store a lot of everything in my hips. So more challenging poses are helping me open my hips and ground and heal. So in order to not feel rusty anymore, I have to show up and practice in this way and, offer you all this practice with me. So that's what today is. Yoga for when you're feeling a bit rusty. We're going to push ourselves just a little bit, just a little bit, nothing too crazy. It's already very hot in here, so hopefully you all can hear me good. The mic is working because I have two fans going. So yeah, this is today's practice, yoga for when you're feeling a bit rusty. So you'll need your mat today. And also blocks would be useful. I don't have any blocks. I'm gonna get some. I swear I'm gonna get some. But I don't have any blocks, but blocks would definitely be useful. But if you don't have blocks, you can always use a box. You can always use books, those type of things. So there are things at home you can use to make your practice more comfortable for you. But yeah, I think that's it. And always, make sure you listen to your body before you listen to me. If any of you are new here, I'm Misha, Yoga with Meesh. I'm a 200-hour registered yoga teacher, Hatha and Vinyasa yoga. So yeah, come on in, get your mat, get some water. We won't be here too long. My iPad is only on 60%. But yeah, that's it, y'all. So we're going to start today's practice in a child's pose. So to get to our child's pose, if you're standing, we're going to come down to all fours. Let me go ahead and set a timer on my own. All right, stopwatch. There we go. All right, to get to child's pose, we're going to come down to all fours, bringing your big toes together. Knees is wide as the mat or wider if need be. You're going to extend your palms out in front of you. And on your exhale, you're going to exhale and allow your tail to fall back towards your feet. Forehead resting on the mat. And this is your child's pose. And child's pose is a rest pose you can visit all throughout our practice today. And I think we're going to visit our child's pose pretty often in today's practice because we're going to be gentle with ourselves. We're going to push ourselves a little bit, but we always want to be reminded to take breaks. So this is your child's pose and it's accessible to you throughout this whole practice. So once you get in your child's pose, let's take a minute to focus in on our breath. Your inhale and your exhale. And I invite you on your next inhale to take a deep inhale through your nose. And on your exhale, how about an audible exhale, sending everything out. And let's do that again. Take a deep inhale through your nose, filling up your belly with air. And on your exhale, an audible exhale, letting everything out. And when you're ready, we'll take our breath back to its natural breathing cycle As you inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose or your mouth, whatever feels good in your body. But, maybe we'll try to inhale and exhale through our nose today and see how that feels for us. So as you inhale and exhale, I invite you to notice the space on your eyebrows, your forehead resting on the mat beneath you. Noticing any sensations that might be showing up for you in that area. Noticing if your eyes are open, and if it feels safe for you, maybe you close them. Or find a soft gaze ahead of you as you rest your forehead on your mat. And as you inhale and exhale, on your next exhale, I invite you to allow your awareness to drop down to your mouth. Noticing if you're holding any tension in your mouth. Noticing your lips. If you can soften and relax your lips with every exhale. Or noticing where your tongue is sitting in your mouth. And if on your exhale you can relax your tongue down to rest at the base of your mouth. As you inhale and exhale. And on your next exhale, I invite you to allow your awareness to drop down to your chest, your heart center. And noticing any sensations that may be showing up for you there. And as you continue to inhale and exhale, I invite you to allow your awareness to drop down to your belly. Noticing your belly expand and contract as you inhale and exhale. And before we invite movement into our practice, we're going to take a moment to set an intention for our practice today. So when you're ready, noticing our heart center again. And we'll continue to breathe, inhale and exhale. And when you're ready, we'll take the palms of our hands and we'll bring them together to touch in front of us. We're still in our child's pose, just the palms of our hands are touching one another. And on our next inhale, we'll inhale our hands up towards our top of our crown, our head, and let our thumbs rest on the top of our head. And with our thumbs resting on the top of our head, I invite you to allow yourself to draw a connection from your head to your heart to set an intention for your practice today. Your intention can look like an affirmation. It can look like whatever your heart needs today. Allow yourself to give yourself that. Today's practice is yoga for when you're feeling a bit rusty. So I think, my intention is probably going to have something to do with showing up and pushing through even when I don't feel my best self or 100%. So go ahead and set your intention. And on your exhale, you'll exhale and release your palms back down to the ground, and we'll prepare to come up into our tabletop. So on your next inhale, we'll inhale, push up into tabletop with our wrists in line with our elbows, in line with our shoulders, knees hip width apart, knees in line with your hips, and your feet, you can come to the tops of your feet or you can curl your toes. And this will be a good time if you've been having any like knee concerns, you can put a blanket under your knee to soften that, or you can roll the corners of your mat out to add some extra cushion to your mat. But we'll find our tabletop, fingers wide, pressing all 10 fingers and our palms into the mat. Rounding our shoulders, pushing away from our mat, making sure we're not hyperextending our arms, but allowing our elbows to just be slightly forward, the inside of our elbows. Not hyper out, extended out, but just slightly forward. Letting our head be an extension of our neck. Finding your tabletop. And from here, we're going to introduce some cat-cows into our practice. On our inhale, we're going to inhale, open up our chest, find a slight raise in our chin, poke our tail out. And on our exhale, curling our back in, tucking our pelvis, letting our head hang heavy. Inhale, poking your tail out, letting your chest come forward, slight raise in your chin, pushing away from your mat. And exhale, curling your back, tucking your pelvis in, letting your head hang heavy. So I invite you to continue to find your cat-cow according to your own breath as you inhale and exhale. And when you're ready, we'll find stillness in your tabletop. And on your next exhale, exhale and extend that right leg back behind us, landing on the ball of your right foot. And we'll just hold this here. Inhale and exhale, connecting with your breath. Good job. And on your next exhale, we'll release that knee back down to meet our other knee in tabletop. And we'll go right to the other side. We'll exhale and extend that left leg behind us, landing on the ball of our left foot, making sure we're pushing away from our mat. All 10 fingers in our palms, pushing into the ground. We're not sinking in, but pushing away. And finding our breath. And on your next exhale, we'll bring that knee back into our tabletop. Bring our big toes together to touch, knees as wide as the mat, and we'll exhale back down into our child's pose. And when you're ready, we'll inhale back up into our tabletop. And feel free to find your cat-cow again. And when you're ready, we'll find stillness in your cow. And on your exhale, we'll exhale, step that right foot back, landing on the ball of our right foot again. But this time on our inhale, we're going to inhale that right foot up off the ground, keeping our right toes flexed towards the mat, extending that right leg out, making sure our hips are in line with the mat, that we're not opening up. If you're opening up to the side, maybe you're lifting your leg too high. But keeping your hips in line with your mat, pushing away from your mat, letting your head be an extension of your neck, and breathing. And on your next exhale, we'll exhale that foot back down to the ground and bring that knee in. And we'll do that same thing on the opposite side. Exhale your left foot behind you, landing on the ball of your left toes. And on your next inhale, we'll inhale that left leg up off the ground, keeping your left toes flexed towards the mat beneath you, keeping your hips in line with your mat, pushing away from your mat, strong in your hands, pushing through all 10 fingers in your palms, letting your head be an extension of your neck. Good job, y'all. We got it. We might be a little rusty, but we getting oiled up today. I know it's a little hot to be getting oiled up, but y'all know what I mean. And on exhale, drop that foot back down to the ground. Bring your knee to tabletop, big toes together to touch. Exhale back down into your child's pose. And while we're here in this child's pose, go ahead and just roll your wrist out because I'm noticing a little tension in my wrist. So go ahead and roll your wrist out in one direction and roll them to the other direction. And when you're ready on your next exhale, we'll push back up into our tabletop. And from here, we'll prepare for our first downward dog of today's practice. So when we're going into our downward dog, we want to make sure that we remain safe in our bodies. So having our hands, palms flat on the ground, fingers wide, Wrists in line with our elbows. And we want to notice the inside of our elbows that our arms are not hyper extended out, but notice the space between like your pointer finger and your thumb as you're pushing on your mat. And a good way to remember is to have your elbows, the inside of your elbows pointing in that opening between your thumb and your pointer finger. So we're not hyperextended, but we're also not rounding our arms too much where our elbows are completely facing each other inside. So finding that hand placement, we're going to bring our knees back just a little bit, curl your toes, and on your exhale, you're going to exhale, push up like somebody's pulling you towards the sky by your tail, and let your head hang heavy in your down dog, and begin to pedal out your feet. Make any adjustments that you need to. But making sure you're breathing in your down dog. Good job. Maybe you look under each underarm as you pedal out your dog. And we'll find stillness in our down dog, and we'll walk our feet up to meet our hands into our forward fold, letting our head hang heavy in your fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, shoulders away from our ears. And exhale, forward fold. Making sure your feet are hip width apart, knees bent, head hanging heavy in your fold. You can sway as you inhale and exhale in your forward fold. And when you're ready, we're going to inhale, sweep our arms up overhead, and exhale back down into our forward fold. And this time we'll bring our hands to touch the mat beneath us, and we're going to gently come down to hands and knees and lower ourselves all the way down to our stomachs. Palms in line with our chest, elbows tucked in. Inhale, baby cobra, lifting your head and your chest off the mat. And exhale, back down. And we'll inhale, push back up into our down dog. Noticing our hands and our elbows. And you can pedal out your dog. Look under each shoulder, look under each underarm. And when you're ready, we'll walk our feet to meet our hands. Forward fold, inhale, halfway lift, shoulders away from our ears, flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Finding a gentle sway in your fold. And on your next inhale, we'll inhale, sweep our arms up overhead. And we'll exhale back down into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, bring our hands back down to meet the mat. And then we'll lower back down to our stomachs. Now, if you want to, you could do the plank and all that, but we're not doing that today. We're taking it easy. And with your hands in line with your chest, elbows tucked in, we'll inhale, baby cobra, and exhale. Back down to the mat. And inhale, push it back up into your down dog again. And this time, we're going to inhale and step our left foot up outside of our left hand. So our left foot is outside of our left hands, palms on the ground, and our back foot, our right foot, we're going to exhale that back heel down so our right toes are pointing at the long edge of our mat. And with our left foot, our left knee, our left leg that is bent next to us, we want to make sure that our knee is not extending over our ankle. So once you have that stance, from here, we're going to inhale and cartwheel our hands up into our warrior two. So to get in our warrior two, or to make sure we're in, good alignment, we want to notice our feet. And if you notice your knee is collapsing in, shorten your stance. We want to make sure that our knee is not going over our ankle, but also make sure our knee is not collapsing in. And we want to tuck our pelvis in, shoulders back, extending our arms out beside us. And we're going to look over those left fingertips. See, this is where I start feeling a little rusty. And looking over those front fingertips in our warrior two. And just breathe, inhale and exhale. And on your next exhale, we're going to turn that front palm to face up. And exhale, drop that right arm down to rest on your right leg and reach over towards the opposite side of the room. Remembering to keep our pelvis tucked. Remembering to inhale and exhale. And on your next exhale, you're going to come, rest your left forearm on your left thigh, and reach over towards the front of the room with your right hand. Noticing the space between your ear and your elbow. Not your ear and your elbow, your ear and your shoulder. And if you find that you're crunching in, maybe you bend your elbow. And you also want to make sure you're not putting your weight on your left thigh. You're just simply resting your left forearm there. And we'll exhale, lean back, reverse our warrior one more time. Then we'll exhale, cartwheel our hands back down to the ground, framing that left foot. We'll step our left foot back, come down to hands and knees, bring our big toes together to touch, and exhale into our child's pose. And when you're ready, we'll inhale, coming all the way back up into our down dog. And we're going to find that warrior two on the opposite side. So this time we'll bring that right foot up outside of our right hand. And we'll take our left foot and drop our left heel down to the mat so that our left toes are facing the long edge of our mat. And we'll inhale and cartwheel our hands up into our warrior two, remembering our feet, making sure our knee is not sunken in, and also making sure our knee is not extended over our ankle. And if that's happening, shorten your stance, tucking your pelvis in, extending your arms beside us. Warrior two. And remember to find your inhale and your exhale in your warrior two pose. Ooh, y'all, I'm sweating so much it's getting in my eyes. And while we're in our warrior, this may be a good time to revisit your intention. And when you're ready, we're going to flip that front palm and exhale, reversing our warrior, letting our left hand rest on our left leg. Remembering not to let our knee fall in, and remembering to keep that strong core and pelvis tucked in. And exhale, letting your right forearm come to rest on your right thigh and reaching towards the front of the room with your left hand. And on your next inhale, we'll reverse that warrior. And then exhale, cartwheel our hands back down to the ground, lowering down to our stomach. And we'll inhale, find our baby cobra again. And exhale, back down. And we'll inhale, pushing back up into our down dog. And this time from our down dog, let's walk our hands to meet our feet to our forward fold here. Remembering to keep our feet hip width apart, knees bent, head, shoulders, arms hanging heavy. And one thing I like to do in my forward fold, especially when I feel a lot of tension in like my shoulders, I just like to pretend that I'm wiping it off. I'll take one hand to a shoulder, to my opposite shoulder, and it's just like I'm wiping off that weight or things I've been carrying, wiping it off my whole body. And from here, I'll find stillness. And on your next inhale, we'll inhale as we gently come to a stand, rolling up slowly, letting each vertebrae stack on top of one another, and letting your head be the last thing to come up. Coming all the way up into your mountain, feet hip width apart, slight bend in your knees, tucking your pelvis out. Tucking your pelvis in, chest out, shoulders back, slight raising your chin, mountain pose. And from our mountain pose, let's turn to face the long edge of our mat. Let's see how long we've been here. Okay, we're good on time. Let's turn to face the long edge of our mat, and let's bring our feet wide, about 3-4 feet apart, whatever feels good in your body, and let your toes face towards the corners of your mat. And we're going to prepare for our goddess pose. So keeping our pelvis tucked in, making sure our knees once again are not sinking in but open. We're going to inhale our arms up, and exhale, we're going to sink slowly down into our goddess, keeping our arms like goalpost arms with our palms facing in, knees open, pelvis tucked in, goddess pose. And we'll hold this for a couple of breaths. And on your next inhale, we'll inhale up. And exhale back into our goddess pose. And maybe you notice you go lower every time we go back into our pose. And we'll inhale, extend, and exhale back into our goddess pose. You got it. Good job, y'all. We're doing it. And we'll inhale, extend up. And this time on the exhale, we'll exhale and come all the way down to our squat. Now, before we go into our squat, feel free to put your palms on the ground and maybe find a froggy pose. If a squat is not in your practice, it's okay to go ahead and find your froggy pose. But if you want to find a squat today, we'll find a squat. So coming into your squat, palms together, letting your forearms, not your forearms, but your elbows push out the inside of your thighs. Finding a squat. And we'll take a couple of breaths here. You know what? Let's see if we can hold our squat for 20 seconds starting now. Remembering to breathe. We did it. So from here, let's exhale our hands down to the ground, and we'll come back to all fours, safely and slowly. And we'll exhale, we'll push back down into our child's pose. And I think we're going to stay on the ground at this point. So we'll explore a couple more poses from the floor and then we'll wrap up today's practice. So from here, from your child's pose, we're going to inhale and just push up our upper body off the ground. We're going to keep our legs in our child's pose and we'll bring our left hand to the center, eye level from us. And we'll inhale that right arm up towards the sky, letting our gaze follow our right hand, and we'll thread the needle on this side, coming to let our right shoulder rest on the mat, our left hand, left palm on the mat. You can extend that left hand, but if that's too much, you can bend your left elbow and find support here. But making sure we're not sinking in on the side of our head in our thread the needle, but being safe and listening to our bodies. And when you're ready to come out, you'll bring your left palm closer to your body and we'll inhale that right hand back towards the sky and exhale back down to the mat. And then we'll bring our right hand to the center where we had our left hand. And we'll inhale that left palm up, let our eyes follow our left hand, and exhale, thread the needle. And when you're ready to come out, we'll bring that right palm closer to our head and we'll inhale, release that left hand up towards the sky, letting our gaze follow our left fingertips, and we'll exhale, bring our left palm back down to the ground. And from here, let's make our way to our backs. And also have a sip of water if you have it. So coming onto our backs, let's bend our knees and bring our feet flat on the ground. And we'll do some, what are they, bridge poses. Yeah, let's do a bridge. Let's do a bridge. So bring our feet about hip width apart, and we're gonna bring our arms in a little closer to our bodies to help support our bodies as we go into our bridge. So you want your palms down, palms facing down, hands wide, feet about hip width apart. And your exhale, we're going to exhale and push up into our first bridge pose. Making sure you're breathing, finding your inhale and your exhale. And exhale. Back down to the ground. And let's find that bridge again. And maybe you notice after that first time, you can bring your feet a little closer to your body. And we'll exhale back up into our second bridge. Exhale it back down. And let's see if we could do one more bridge. And you may notice this time that your fingertips might even be touching your heel. And on your next exhale, we'll exhale back up into our bridge. Pushing away from our mat, finding strength in our core. And exhale, lower it back down to the ground. And we'll find a gentle sway in our knees from side to side. And you know what? Let's find our final resting pose. And then we'll close out our practice today. So your final resting pose can look like corpse pose, so feet wide, arms wide, taking up space on the mat, on the ground, on the floor. It can look like legs up the wall, so if you have a wall accessible to you, you can put your feet up the wall. Whatever rest pose feels good in your body, and we'll find final resting pose for the next couple of minutes. And I will reintroduce my voice back into the space when it's time to move on. Wiggling your fingers and toes. Maybe you roll out your wrists, rolling out your ankles. Noticing your body resting on the mat and the ground beneath you. And when you're ready, you'll bend your right knee, landing on your right foot. And you'll inhale and extend your right arm up overhead. And on your next exhale, you'll exhale and turn over to your right side, laying in a fetal position. Moving safely and slowly, we're going to come up to a seated position and letting our head be the last thing to come up. So extending your left leg out, and you're going to use your left palm to push up into your seat, letting your head be the last thing to come up. You can find crisscross applesauce, legs out ahead, whatever seat feels good for you. Maybe I'll turn and face y'all. And once you find your comfortable seat, we're going to take our hands, palms up. We'll inhale our arms up overhead. And exhale, shake it all out, letting our palms come back down to the ground. Inhale, palms facing up, arms up overhead, and exhale, shake it all out, shake it all out. And we'll inhale, arms up overhead, bring our palms together to touch this time, and exhale, bring our hands to our chest, our prayer hands to our chest. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. This was yoga when you're feeling a bit rusty. Hopefully we worked out some kinks. I know I did, but feel free to revisit this practice anytime you want. And also feel free to check out my other videos on my Yoga with Meesh playlist. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Let's take an inhale together. And we'll exhale, forward fold any amount. Inhale back up. And exhale. Bring your hands back down to your lap. Thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully I'll be back on here more often. We'll see. I'm back upstairs again because it's very hot in the other room where I was practicing before. But thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll catch y'all next time. Bye.